if you can, explain this pie chart to America on our spending here, our money problems. Can you explain this?
Well, we have multiple national debts, Glenn. We don't just have one national debt. Everyone knows that we owe $8 to $10 trillion in the accumulated budget deficits that we owe, but then we also owe somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 to $55 trillion, and that's trillion with a T, in money that we owe in Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, money that we don't have coming into the system. That is promises we made over what we're going to collect into the system. And then on top of that, Glenn, there's $16 billion that we calculated.
Trillion.
Did I say
You said billion. I mean, what are you?
Even I'm guilty.
Hello. Billion's a made-up word. Let's use real numbers like trillion.
16 trillion, and those are guarantees that we've made on everything from student loans to pensions to virtually every mortgage in America today is guaranteed payment by the federal government.
All right, now let me show you the total of what these things cost. The total is $78.8 trillion. Right. The reason why this pie chart has been made into a globe for you is to have you really understand this next number. Here it is. The world GDP is $78.4 trillion. It takes the entire world a year to pay off our debt. That's staggering.
Right here. Glenn, you've been looking into a crystal ball. What the world's going to look like in about 5 years, and how's it look?
What we are possibly looking at is something far worse than the Depression. The differences between now and the Depression are stunning. We are in much greater debt as individuals. We don't know how to grow our own food. We're not our grandparents. So just economically, we could be in real trouble. But we're also looking at civil unrest all around the world. Just to stabilize the unemployment rate in China, you have to create 25 million jobs every year in China.
Right.
The New York Times reported that there will be 50 million people worldwide unemployed in the next 12 months. That's not a real number. According to all the experts I spoke to, that's not a real number.
But when you look right now,
it's much bigger than that.
Glenn, you look historically, during the Depression, unemployment was 25%, something like that. Right now, we're at 6.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about, I will tell you that this was today.
6 million, I think.
I was driving in today, and I said, my kids are coming with me, and I said, this was the day that 2 years ago I said, it's probably going to be like this. And I said 7,500 is the Dow, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what I saw coming. It's going to be much worse than this.
So you would agree with Barack Obama then, ironically, because in his speech when he announced his housing plan, let me get to it.
Searching for something I agree with.
Well, yes, and that's why I pulled this one out of a hat, because he said crisis 24 times. So you would agree with him that it's a crisis?
Oh, I think it is. I think he's using it for political means. I think people need to see the worst case scenario because you need to prepare. This is something that could be. Right. Hopefully it won't be. 2 weeks ago, I came home, and it was about midnight. My wife and I were talking, and we were talking last night at midnight as well. My hands, look at them. My hands now, for the first time in my life, are shaking. Not because of what is going to happen, but what could happen. I have been feeling this for 2 years, over 2 years, and ringing the bell. We're running out of exit ramps here, and civil unrest could happen. It will happen, already is happening around the world. We have people from the CIA, FBI that have war-gamed these scenarios. What happens to the world when the United States has to say, we've got to pull back here, we've got to pull back here?
Wait a minute, they started preparing, the military has started preparing for a revolution. When? In the last 4 months they started preparing?
No, they've been preparing for a while.
They saw the crystal ball like you did, that this could happen?
Look, I was walking with some of the brightest minds in the military, just, what was it, about 8 months ago. And I said, so what are you guys really worried about? One guy who was with the FBI before the World Trade Center was one of the first people to say, this is a global terror network. He burst out in tears. And he said, Glenn, people don't understand. This is 1860. We are on the verge of 1860. The other guy talked to me about how the military is preparing for what they call the Bubba effect. We'll talk about the Bubba effect tonight. That is, something happens down at the border. You got the rancher who's protecting his land. Right. People are starting to come over. He protects his land. There's a shot fired. It ignites things. ATF, FBI come in and arrest that rancher. How many people are going to say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You people knew this was going on and you did nothing to protect us.
I really hope you're wrong.
The problem is the monopoly game, which is controlled by the Federal Reserve, the private bank, which is actually controlled out of London, is manipulating all the dollars to put them out, put more and more people into debt. So the illusion of equity they have in real estate is coming apart. The players that are analyzing everything are expecting massive foreclosures next year and the beginning of what we call the recession it's going to be worse than 29. Take your house that you're living in. You think you own it. You don't.
Right.
You have contractual right to transfer the airspace, subject to you paying taxes to the state.
Right.
Or the Global 2000 discussions that we had. The real problem that they have, as Kissinger says, is there's just too many people on the planet. And 40% of the world, 2 billion of us, exist on less than $2 a day. The summary of the Global 2000 report I put up on my website, nohoax.com. Right. But if you look at it, it makes sense to get rid of people. So what they said, they're going to make godlike decisions on who lives and who dies. Now, obviously, some of the meetings we sat on, we were planning on using neutron bombs on the major cities, because that contains most of what they call...
You actually heard this?
I sat in on the meetings. I was in the game big time. In fact, I was making such a mess, they decided rather than kill me, which they could, they just invited me into the inner group and asked me to be the finance chairman. And at that point, I probably would have been in, Secretary of the Treasury or something, whatever they wanted to do with me. What I was doing prior to that, so, making it right, I would volunteer to become a president of a company. And I'd go in and liquidate it. And we get rid of the expendable containers. That was my job.
Expendable containers meaning human beings?
That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's
well,
really
that was
inside vernacular, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what we used at that time. I mean, it went from there to useless eaters today, so you're happy with it, you're a human resource. So,
right.
Which, all you are is part of the commodity, even in the business sense. You look at it, you have a cost. Labor, what is labor? Yeah. Human resource.
Right.
When you're going to put together some kind of product. Well, the inside of the game, when we started using neutron bombs, today they figure that biologicals are much cheaper. Mm-hmm. They're still planning on, the plan is to get a war started in the Middle East. And they're still planning on using a neutron bomb, or one of the bombs that they've got developed on Israel. Mm-hmm. And that's to begin World War III, mm-hmm. which is all in the cards. And it's going to happen. They even put a monument up for this whole program. It's called the Georgia Guide.
Articles about 1 million body bags armor ordered by FEMA, or 300,000 plastic coffins ordered by Homeland Security. I mean, we've had all those articles. We just have never... But people don't care about an article or a news story. They want to see the coffins. So some folks in Georgia saw one of these facilities, and we've got Google photos of it and ground photos and video of it, and it is more than 500,000 of these giant coffins stacked outside. You'll have big stacks of lids and then stacks of the coffins, one inside the other. Georgia, the company is Polyguard Vaults, but they're in Alabama. This is a separate area, a FEMA leased area, just sitting right out by the side of a highway for the last couple of years. And finally, we've mentioned this before, but finally, this is really getting big news on the web, and a big report's being done by Kurt Nimmo right now. In fact, it may be up. I know he's working on it to have it up by the end of the show. Why are tens of thousands of plastic burial vaults stacked in a field near Madison, Georgia, is the headline. Polyguard Vaults, and you go to their website, huge 18-wheelers with these extra long flatbeds just totally stacked with the coffins that go one inside the other like plastic Dixie cups. And they're just all there. Now, we know this is FEMA. We know that these are coffins. Some people are debating that because we have all the news articles where it says FEMA's ordered coffins and body bags by the millions. This is just one stockpile just a few miles away from the Atlanta airport. which is the largest, and look at these. Now, FEMA and the CDC say that they're, by the way, this is nearby the CDC, Center for Disease Control. They say that they're only doing this in case there's a mass biological outbreak.